that an investigation by the Pentagon's independent watchdog has raised concerns over Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's use of the commercial messaging app Signal to discuss U.S. military strikes on Yemen. The probe found that Hegseth's actions could have endangered American troops, although it concluded he did not violate any classification rules as he holds the authority to declassify information. The investigation, which has been forwarded to Congress, follows a report by U.S. media revealing a Signal chat where Hegseth and then National Security Advisor Mike Waltz discussed the strikes with the real-time details, including the timing and specifics of the military action. The issue could reignite debate surrounding Hegseth's conduct, especially following his role in U.S. strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats. And I now request Adrian Calamil to join us back in the discussion. Adrian, I'd like to understand from you, for our international viewers, what are the repercussions of Hegseth's actions?
Okay, let me start by saying what Pete Hegseth did was absolutely wrong. He knows it was wrong. Everybody that was in that Signal chat knows discussing these type of things. They understand that. This is being recycled now as a political tool to go after Pete Hegseth. That's what this is being used as. If we want to look at, okay, he possibly put U.S. troops in danger. Let me reel back the clock to Benghazi 2013, where you have Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, you have Jake Sullivan, you have Susan Rice. They're all involved in the Benghazi affair and the cover-up, where you have American soldiers die. Complete dereliction of duty. It was all done under the clock, behind closed doors. The investigation turned into a giant, it was a circus. It never got to the bottom of what actually happened there. So, yeah, I want to contrast these two things, because in Benghazi, people died. And then they went on to the network news and for 3 days perpetuated a false story about a video fueling hatred, when this was a coordinated campaign and attack by elements of Al-Qaeda and the IRGC across the Middle East, and Benghazi was was the one that got hit the hardest. People died there. What Hegseth did was wrong. He knows better. They're not making this mistake again. Waltz was reprimanded. It may have been involved with that, but again, I'm going to come back to this is political, and you mentioned Venezuela targeting of the boats. It's Congress trying to put the boots to Hegseth and get in the way of American foreign policy to make sure that a narco state isn't continuing to ship people, cocaine, and other things. It's become a beachhead for the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's also become a beachhead for Russia, and it's a major security concern. So this is to hurt Hegseth, to hurt President Trump's foreign policy. And we saw this during his first administration, continuing to come back after him for things that are kind of dead in the water, recycling them to kind of put us off track, and his administration and policies off track, which is dangerous. This is one of the things that really upsets me about American politics, is when politics gets in the way of foreign policy. And we see this happen way too often. And this is why America, in a lot of cases, our foreign policy is broken, depending on who's in charge and in power.
All right, I'd leave it at that. Adrian, thank you for joining us for now here at NewsX World. And viewers, with that, we shift our focus now. Members of Congress have said that they will investigate whether the U.S. military has broken the law by allegedly killing 2 survivors of a strike on a suspected drug trafficking vessel in the Caribbean. The White House has defended the strikes as lawful, stating that they comply with the law of war, but human rights groups and legal experts have condemned the follow-up attack as potential murder or a war crime. The attack on September 2, authorized by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, destroyed a vessel carrying 11 people. Reports suggest a second strike targeted 2 survivors clinging to the wreckage, raising questions about compliance with international law. Congress could subpoena officials, limit military funding, or hold briefings, while the Justice Department and the military could investigate potential war crimes. International tribunals are unlikely to intervene, and the U.S. allies have expressed concern. Prosecution could target Hegseth, Admiral Frank Bradley, or others. The precedent for convicting high-ranking officers in combat operations is limited. Joining us in this discussion is Quentin Hitchcock, international affairs expert, joining us live from Dallas. Thank you, Mr. Hitchcock, for joining us here at NewsX World. And now, all these developments coming after Trump has said that he's going to look into the second tap strike. Are we to believe that this was not something that was intended, really?
Well, whether it was intended or not, I don't know. But what I do know is that this is a story. I want to be very clear to your international viewers. This is a story that has been brought to the surface by Democrats in this country and by the American media system that is actively trying to destroy President Trump's reputation. Let me share with you that the other half of this country, conservatives and Republicans, are praising this president for actually putting forth action and defending American citizens against the endless amounts of dangerous narcotics, fentanyl, and other dangerous drugs, not to mention human smuggling, that comes from Venezuela into this country every single day of the year. So whether it was intended or not in terms of the second strike, I don't know. I got to be honest, in my personal opinion, I don't know that it matters. And with a significant portion of this country, they're not interested in this. They see it as an attack, as a game to take down President Trump's cabinet or his efforts in the Caribbean. But most of this country, at least those that voted for Trump, are actively praising his efforts on this.
So are you saying that the U.S. military did not commit a war crime here?
I can't speak to whether they committed a war crime or not. My personal opinion is no, that they were within their legal rights to do this, because I think this gets lost everywhere when this subject gets brought up. Is our military had intelligence that these were drug smugglers and this were fentanyl smugglers coming into the United States, bringing a deadly narcotic that kills hundreds of thousands of Americans every single year, many of which children that die of overdoses. So my opinion is that it would be a war crime for us to turn our backs on this drug smuggling and not take action. So not going to speak to the legalities of this, but I trust this administration, and again, much of this country is applauding their efforts in this, because past administrations have done exactly that. They've turned their back on this issue, and as a result, many avoidable deaths have occurred all over this country.
Right, thank you for your perspective there, and leave it at that. Viewers, we now move on. The hepatitis B vaccine for newborns is facing new scrutiny in the United States.